stopping the chaos.
I heard loud noises and people started screaming and shots being fired up in the air. And everyone started running in different parts.
Authorities say that truck was loaded with guns and grenades. The driver speeding through crowds for more than a mile, shooting a firearm out the window.
When we were running away, apart from all this screaming, that we did hear shots fired, which I assume to be the police.
The driver was shot by police after an exchange of gunfire. The bullet-riddled windshield, evidence of the carnage. A trail of bodies left in its path. This video shared via social media, providing a look at the desperate moments following the attack. Authorities say they are not aware of any accomplices and are investigating this as an act of terror.
La France est affligée.
French President François Hollande speaking tonight, saying France is deeply affected by this new tragedy and horrified by what has just occurred. This monstrous act, which consists of using a truck in order to deliberately kill dozens of people who were simply celebrating the 14th of July.
Des dizaines de personnes qui venaient simplement pour fêter le 14 juillet.
France has been a target before. Just this past November, 130 people were killed as Islamic militant suicide bombers and gunmen opened fire on the streets of Paris inside a concert hall in France's National Stadium. The country was put on a nationwide state of emergency. It was to be lifted in a matter of weeks, but has now been extended 3 more months, leaving France as a nation on edge. We'll continue to bring you the very latest in the story throughout the night and on abcnews.com. But first, the president and the people coming together in a landmark town hall with our David Mira.
Mr. President, thank you for joining us.
To ask candid and challenging questions about race and policing.
I ask for your help to unite all the races of this world.
Families of loved ones killed by police and families of police officers who never came home from work, together in the same room.
I would just like to know how you're supposed to feel every day when your son puts on a police uniform and he's an honest police officer. You know, what's he supposed to do to protect himself?
There are not excuses for the kinds of violent activities that we see in response to anything.
At the heart of the discussion, protecting both officers and citizens, especially in high-risk situations like traffic stops.
My question to you, Mr. President, is have you ever been pulled over, and what was your experience like as a driver?
The answer is yes, I have been pulled over. And I will say that the overwhelming majority of the time, I deserved to be pulled over because I was going too fast. There have been a couple of times in my life where that was not the case.
Ahead, we'll hear why he made this controversial viral video about what to do when you're being pulled over.
You have to have your ID pulled out before the cop gets there.
And how those routine traffic stops can turn fatal. The split-second decisions that make the difference when we come back.
Put your hands up!
Tell us the traffic stop can be one of the most dangerous parts of their job. The shooting death of Philando Castillo during a stop shown on Facebook Live last week, the latest example of the danger on both sides. So tonight, a closer look at this high-stakes encounter, our ongoing series, America in Black and White.
Lots of people carry around, usually more firepower than the police do.
Richmond, California, a small city with a big gun problem. The tension between black and blue is palpable.
Generation after generation, we're continuing to push forward this mantra of you can't trust the police.
A reality that makes any encounter potentially more dangerous.
Close the door, close the door.
As we were with them on patrol, a routine traffic stop turns into an armed standoff.
Put your hands up! Hands up! Hands up!
Firearm.
The driver has a gun out in plain view.
Put your hands up!
Don't move. If you move, you're going to get shot. You understand?
The driver finally puts his hands on the steering wheel, away from the gun.
Then keep your hand right there.
But the two officers are outnumbered by the 4 men in the car, and no telling if the passengers are armed.
Keep your hands on the headrest. Hands on the headrest. We got him coming right now.
Waiting on backup to arrive, Officer Ben Terrahill makes a move.
Put a bead on him.
Holstering his gun so he can disarm the driver.
Step out. Put your hands on your back. Put your other hand behind your back. Put your other hand behind your back.
Turns out there was a second gun in the back seat. With both drivers and cops packing heat, revolver, 4 loaded guns, 3 tense minutes. A finite amount of time, but infinite ways this could have turned deadly. Traffic stops are always a dangerous intersection of unknowns. But with our country at a crossroads, grappling with issues of race and justice, with videos like these going viral, the circumstance is disturbingly similar.
Please don't tell me this, Lord. Please, Jesus, don't tell me that he's gone.
A police car, a camera, and a person of color. The traffic stop has become a flashpoint.
They are here to assassinate us. They are here to kill us because we are black.
Diamond Reynolds was in the car when her boyfriend, Philando Castillo, was shot by police last week.
Stay with me.
His tragic death, live streamed on Facebook, began as a traffic stop. Black drivers are disproportionately pulled over for minor offenses. That according to Bureau of Justice statistics.
He's coming.
Many who were watching commenting on Reynolds' calm demeanor, face of terrifying trauma.
Keep your hands where they are, please. Yes, I will, sir. I'll keep my hands where they are.
It's really unfortunate that it was the citizen who worked to de-escalate the situation and not the officer who we believed are being trained to de-escalate those sort of situations.
She was the coolest head in that whole situation. That was
You got my daughter?
unbelievable. Unbelievable. Couldn't imagine. As the cop is approaching, you have to realize he doesn't know what's coming.
Inspired by Reynolds' calm, Cafe Anderson, a biracial country music singer, made this video showing exactly what drivers can do to diffuse tensions at traffic stops and keep everybody, including the police, calm.
You have to have your ID pulled out before the cop gets there. My car was completely turned off. The radio is all the way down. I'm facing forward. Both of my hands are here with my fingers out.
It's gone viral.
At the end of the day, the policeman wants to go home safely. We want to get home safely. Even if the cop is having a bad day, you have to go home.
But not all the feedback has been positive.
It says, doesn't this contribute to the blaming the victim? And my response was, I hope it doesn't. I pray that it helps defuse the tension between police and drivers when a traffic stop occurs.
It isn't just drivers who are in peril. Police also face a real risk when they pull someone over. Just last night, a police officer in Georgia was dragged after he approached this car when he noticed the driver was asleep. And then there are these disturbing videos documenting routine traffic stops where the police became the victims. In 2013, Deputy James Boyd pulled over this Cadillac in Bowie, Texas. He didn't know the driver, Evan Ebel, was a convicted felon and wanted for 2 murders in Colorado. As Deputy Boyd approached the car, 4 shots fired at close range. He was hit twice.
All I can remember is blood pouring down my face and landing on my hands. I wasn't able to make it to the patrol car. I was just too weak at that point.
The video shows him laying on the side of the road. Finally, Good Samaritans found him and called for help.
Hey, what happened? I got shot.
The third shot, if it would have gone an eighth of an inch down or to either side, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
Meanwhile, the man who shot him was on the run and chased down by police before crashing into a truck. His car sprayed with a barrage of police bullets. He later died. Deputy Boyd had a long and painful recovery. But 3 years later, guess who's back on patrol?
I went back because it's what I know, it's what I love doing. I love being able to get out there, and granted, most people don't like police officers. If I wanted to be liked, I'd been a fireman.
His wife, Patricia, is grateful for every day they have together.
Honestly, there's always that feeling in your stomach when they leave. You never know if they're going to come back that night.
We don't have the luxury of being able to wait and decipher through every single decision. If we sit there and wait, it could cost us our lives, a victim their lives, or an innocent civilian their lives.
During that traffic stop back in Richmond, we watched the officers do exactly that, make many split-second decisions under extreme circumstances. Remember, there was a gun within the driver's reach, and at first, he wasn't compliant.
Keep your hands up, man. Hands up!
Officer Terrio says he had legal justification to shoot, but chose not to.
The difference is, I've been in this situation so many times. You know, if he was to reach for the gun just a little bit more, that's it. I can't wait anymore. Training is probably the most key part of why that went down the way it did.
Too much security. I never had too much security.
The small city of Richmond, until recently, had among the highest homicide rates in the country. And with so many guns on the streets, officers have to be on their game.
Men and women under your charge have to encounter things like this day to day. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it can be a pretty dangerous job, which is, why we place such a high priority, on training, on using good tactics, reinforcing good habits.
More often than in many police departments, all officers here are required to go through training like this every few months.
License registration proof of
The purpose of role play, to put officers in scenarios like traffic stops.
What's your first name? It's Orlando.
Where they have to assess a situation and make split-second decisions that could mean life or death for them or the driver. The protocol?
That's something you can contest in traffic court, but for now...
Try to de-escalate the situation using words.
Keep them on the steering wheel, don't move. Okay?
You identified it really quickly that it was a felon.
Yeah.
What was his demeanor like?
He was challenging.
You drew your weapon.
What made you draw your weapon?
Well, I kind of peeked in the car to see if there were any weapons around him, and I saw a pistol on the center console.
They're trained to be transparent with the driver about what they're doing and why.
Hey, do me a favor, reach for that very slowly, grab that for me, please.
While also being vigilant to look for signs of a threat.